Welcome to the Positively You podcast. I'm your host, Jessie Larson, and I'm passionate about helping you shift the way you think so you can create a life you're absolutely obsessed with. Each week, I'll be bringing you a guest or a thought that's going to help you feel more optimistic and equipped to take real action. Get ready to push past limiting beliefs, ditch that negativity, and start showing up as the best and most positive version of you. Girl, let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. You guys, I am so excited about the episode for today because I have a really special guest, and this guest is actually in studio with me, if you want to call this a studio. It's our living room, and my guest is my husband, Conor, and I wanted him to be my guest today because this week we are celebrating our 12th anniversary, so it's a pretty fun week for us and pretty exciting, and we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about having a happy marriage and a positive marriage, and we're by no means experts, but we've learned a little bit along the way, and so I thought it'd be fun to just kind of have a quick little conversation about some of the things that we've learned over the past dozen years and see what works. So I have asked Conor to come on and just, I asked him to come up with a couple of things and me to come up with a couple of things, and we'll see if we're on the same page or if we've got some different things. So welcome, Conor.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot first and totally make you go first.
Okay. So Jess asked me to come up with a couple of things, a couple of ideas or a couple of reasons why I think we are good at marriage. We're talented at marriage.
Yeah, we're really talented.
Yeah. And while apart from being soulmates, of course, and being destined to meet one another, I'm just kind of kidding. I actually don't believe in any of that.
I do. We're totally soulmates.
Okay. If you say so. The first thing I came up with that I thought, and this sounds, I guess, super simple, but we are not jerks. And what I mean by that is of course, you don't want to be a jerk to your spouse, your significant other. But I think both of us have made a priority to be kind to one another and put the other's feelings in a place of significance in the way that we act, in the way that we talk to each other. And in thinking of a way to kind of boil that down, I came up with the idea that we're just not jerks.
That's true. I like that. I think it goes along with, like, we can disagree and we can argue or whatever and have differences in opinion, but neither one of us will walk away a winner if we've, like, done it by hurting each other's feelings or whatever. So
yeah, I think of course you're going to have disagreements and disagree with each other, or of course you're going to irritate your spouse or they're going to irritate you, but I think in those moments we've kind of asked, I know I've asked myself, and I think Jess has too, that is being right more important than her feelings, and that of course is never the case. So so that's what I came up with.
all right. Plus I'm usually right.
Well, sure, yeah.
There you go. All right. No, I think that's a really good one. And we've actually shared that with other people. Kind of like our number one thing is, like, don't be jerks, or just, like, kindness. Kindness is kind of key.
Like at a wedding when people give advice to the happy couple. Just tell them, look, don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Just don't be a jerk.
And they're like, oh, of course I'm not going to be a jerk. Yeah, but the problem is you probably are going to be a jerk. So
well, everyone can be a jerk sometimes, and especially, you get married and you're kids and you're young, and it can be a hard thing to kind of, like, humble yourself and put your pride aside. But at the end of the day, you're teammates, and you shouldn't be a jerk to your teammate.
So ask yourself, am I being a jerk? If the answer is yes, stop.
Simple.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Okay, well, I'll go. Mine, I was going to share one, but it's like pretty common and pretty typical, so I'll switch it up a little bit. But we have made it a point to always go to bed at the same time, or as often as we can. I mean, I realize that with some couples' work schedules, or, you know, if there's deployments or whatever, there are totally different things that can come into play there. But as often as you can, I think ending the night together has been like a really big part of it. A lot of it is because we can't really go to bed super angry at each other if we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And then we're able to kind of end, and we pray together at night. And so I like that we kind of can end the day. We can chat about what went well, what didn't, what things we've got going on the next day. And we just kind of are able to come together at the end. And I don't know, it's just, that's been something that I think has been kind of different that maybe a lot of people don't do, or...
Yeah, I think part of it, and maybe this is just my opinion, but so we're super big on routines. Obviously, Jess talks about making your bed and having routine and accomplishing tasks, but being, well, speaking only for myself, being super neurotic, I tend to do better in routines when I have consistency day to day, and as frequently as we can, when those routines can include each other. I think it helps. You know, and not only is it good for my mental health and my well-being, I think it's good for both of us. So I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just kind of adding more to that teammate kind of mentality a little bit that I think our marriage has, and I think a good marriage has, is if you're kind of on the same page. So that's my number one tip.
That's a good one.
All right. Okay, you're up next.
Okay, so the other thing that I thought about was I thought back to the time when we were first married, and when we were kind of the shoe was on the other foot, and we were first married, and people were giving us advice and said, "Oh, that first year of marriage is so hard and it's so difficult." And I think we have always done a good job of separating the idea that life is difficult and not necessarily marriage is difficult. We've been able to separate the idea that there are life things, and those things aren't necessarily reflective of marriage things.
For sure.
So when life is difficult, that doesn't mean that our marriage necessarily has to be difficult. And kind of layered on top of that, I don't think we came into our relationship with the idea that things were going to be a fairy tale and things were going to be peachy keen all the time. And
Yeah, you weren't like Prince Charming fixing my whole life. Right?
well, apart from being very charming myself, I don't know that I didn't come riding in on a white horse or anything like that. But and because I think we had that idea that life was going to be, you know, a challenge, and there were going to be challenges that we would face both as a married couple and as parents and things. We actually work at our marriage. I think we make focusing on it and working at it and trying to get better at it a priority. Just like anything, you know, if you want to get good at something, you have to work at it and you have to practice and you have to, you know, figure out ways that you're not doing a good job and try to fix those things. So working at it
Right.
is what I came up with.
Awesome. And I think, you know, it's common to hear that marriage is hard or marriage takes work and all these things. And I think it's different, or it's important to know the difference between like marriage is hard versus marriage takes work.
Yeah.
Like you can do things to put an effort and to make that work, but it doesn't mean it's like hard doesn't have to be terrible. It doesn't mean it have to be like this constant uphill battle. And I think that was one of the things that we did hear a lot was this first year is really hard, and you know, second, third years can be hard too or whatever, but we'd always kind of heard that like this first year is so hard, this first year is so hard. And I remember us thinking, when does this get hard? Because we were just having fun. And I mean, obviously you all know that I'm really, really big on your mindset, and what you think is what you're going to get out of things. And so we just kept thinking, you know, marriage is fun, and what can we do to make this fun, and how can we make this better and serve this person and enjoy our time with each other. And so because our mindsets were focused on making marriage good and having fun, that it never really, the marriage part didn't seem hard. The life part was hard, and that's exactly what you said, but we signed up to do life together. And so like our house and our home and our marriage is that safe haven from everything else.
Yeah.
And kind of keeping that kind of sacred almost, and being able to set the hard stuff on the shelf a little bit and keeping those kind of things separate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Is that kind of
I
what,
agree. Yeah,
what you're saying?
Yeah, life is hard, and life is going to be hard whether you're married or not. And at least being married, you have somebody to do that with and to, tackle those challenges together.
Yeah. Okay. So, taking that, I'll kind of go into my next one, which is, I have a couple, but being interested and supportive of the other person and what they are interested in and doing. You come into a marriage as two separate people with separate hobbies and separate interests. So I think listening and being supportive of things, even if they're not something you're super passionate about.
Yeah. I think I think there's two sides of that. I think there's that side of it. You mentioned, supporting the other person in their hobbies or the things that they're passionate about, things that they're interested about, and also not stopping doing those things for any reason. If there are things that you yourself are passionate about and want to do, you have to continue to do those things. As a married person, you have to continue to be as passionate about those things. Just because you're married doesn't mean you have to stop being yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to, find things that you're passionate about, and they don't necessarily have to interact with each other. They don't have to be the exact same things. I mean, they could be, and I think you can support each other in your individual hobbies, but they don't have to align exactly. Like, you don't have to watch basketball with me all day. You're welcome to, obviously, but just because you don't want to doesn't mean that I shouldn't.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So being supportive of each other's hobbies and interests and things, but yeah, like I don't have to completely take on your identity or your hobbies, but just understanding that those are important to you and those kind of like make you you, and the things that are important to me make me me, and giving each other the time and the space to be able to have those outside hobbies, but also, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
So yeah, like being supportive of each other in the things that you are interested in.
Yeah.
I think is a big thing that works. Do you have any other tips, or did you just come up with the two?
You told me to come up with two, so I came up with two, and they were the best ones.
All right, well, rapid fire, one more. Something we do that makes us awesome.
Man, I think
so many things.
I know. Well, when you are awesome, like we are, then it's just easy to be awesome.
It's very easy to be awesome.
It just comes naturally.
So our marriage advice is just be more awesome?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not awesome, stop. Be more.
Obviously, we are a very sarcastic couple, and we play off of each other very well. I would say my last and final tip is to be intentional about the time you make for each other, and that if you can't have full out date nights, if you can't get babysitters, whatever, if you can just be intentional, even at the end of the night, at least once a week, just taking at least an hour to have phones away, to just be one-on-one and just make sure that you're putting your marriage first. Because so many times on paper you can say, oh, my marriage is my most important thing in life, but then the way you're living it, is it really?
Yeah.
It can be put on the back burner so easily. So I think just being intentional, making intentional time, and I know that that's been a big one for us, is that we've tried to have a weekly time.
Well, I don't think in the idea or the phrase date night, I think it's, I don't know, misunderstood or misrepresented. I think a lot of people think, in order for it to be a date night, you have to have, if you have kids, have a babysitter, and the kids have to go, and you have to go out to dinner, and you have to go to a movie, and you have to
be dressed up.
You have to go to the opera, and have to have a carriage and
all the things.
A formal dinner.
Glass slipper.
Yeah. But I think that just making, kind of like Jesse said, even if it's, after your kids go to bed or whatever, and just spending some time together and doing something that you both enjoy, and maybe just Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Now that we know what that means.
Yeah, now that you know what that means, it means something altogether different.
All right.
It's not falling asleep watching The Office.
That's what Netflix and chill is for us, is falling asleep while watching The Office.
It's not getting all handsy while you watch.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, clearly we're having way too much fun. But so to recap a little bit of what we think makes our marriage awesome, it might make yours. Who knows? We're clearly not marriage experts or...
Well, speak for yourself. I am...
I'm clearly not a marriage expert. I'm married
expert.
to one, apparently.
Yes.
So, okay, number 1. What was your number 1?
Don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk. Number 2... What was my number 2?
Your number 2 was...
go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't be a jerk. Go to bed at the same time.
Remember what your spouse says 10 minutes ago.
Oh, heavens to Betsy. Number 1, don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk.
Number 2, go to bed at the same time.
Go to bed at the same time.
Number 3 was yours.
Was work it. Work it, girl.
Work. It's hard work. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4 was let each other have your own things, but be supportive and interested.
Yeah.
Number 5 was be intentional about time you're making for your marriage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. Straight from the experts. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again today. I'm so glad you pressed play. Before you go, I wanted to tell you all about the new community I've created to be able to dive deeper into the topics we discuss on the podcast together with you. In this group, you can surround yourself with support and conversations as we all work together every day to show up as the best and most positive versions of ourselves. I can't wait to see you in there. To join, just head to jessielarson.com and hit the big pink button right at the top that says Positively You Community. And remember, sharing is caring. If you enjoyed this episode, help others find it by sharing a screenshot and tagging at positively.jessie on Instagram. And if you're really feeling the love, make sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Reviews are pretty much magic for podcasts, and it helps this show get into the ears of more amazing women just like you. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, have an amazing week.